Where's Steve Cornelius? Come on up, Steve. Come up and have a seat. Now I need Bobby Brown and Dave Apsher. Each Hall of Fame inductee, it's a brass nameplate. It goes in our boardroom indoors because it's brass. And their name is also etched in laser on the outside of the boardroom on the building, plus a certificate, obviously.
Touch. Okay. Thanks, Corn, for being here and everyone else. Steve's my guy. Old South Sac ties, Burbank High School, Southside Legion, fellow alum of Cosumnes River. Steve came into the league with 30 and over Orioles for MSBL Sunday, and then he landed on the Giants. And I remember he was our backup catcher. He backed up Dave, and he was batting down in the lineup, which as soon as I got to take over the team, the first order of business was batting him leadoff. And man, it worked. He was a key factor in a few of our runs during those years. Rare combination, speed, stolen bases, catcher for a catcher. Really didn't lose anything back there when he was backing up Dave. High baseball IQ, handled pitchers well. Just a guy every manager, just a joy to have. And then as time went on, his schedule changed. Unfortunately, Corn hasn't been able to make as many games, but when he can, he's always there to lend a helping hand. Very unselfish guy, team player. We're just a better team when he's there. And Corn, I just want to say thanks and congratulations. Welcome to the Hall of Fame. And thanks for making me look good. So.
All right, as some of you know that Phil Adams was actually supposed to introduce Steve Corndog Cornelius, and he couldn't be here. He's ill today. So it probably would have been a little better introduction with Phil, but you're stuck with us. So it is what it is. Steve, the first time I played, it was against Steve, was when he was playing with the Orioles, and it was actually City League, and he was a catcher, lead off for the Orioles, and he was a guy that you just didn't steal on him. He was that guy. So, I mean, there was never any plans of doing that when you played against him. Good hitter. I became a teammate with Steve on the Giants, playing for the hatest man in baseball, Javier Campos. That's what we called him. It was a big joke. Steve, again, he did whatever it took. He was selfless. He batted down, never complained about it. Like Bobby said, he should have been batting leadoff. That was where he should have been. Did whatever it took, second base, outfield, wherever we needed him. Catcher. There came a time when I started pitching, what was it, about 10 years ago, whatever the heck it was, and Steve would catch me, and he did such a good job just reeling me in. I enjoyed so much throwing to Steve. Probably my favorite catcher, although there are others, but he just knew when to reel me in, come out and talk to me, and if any of you were at our game last night, you would have seen exactly what I meant. He might. We won a lot of games. Him and with us as the battery. Again, he made me look a lot better than what I actually was, just because of his calm demeanor. As of late, I think Steve is like many of the Giant MASH unit. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, raise your hand if you're on that MASH unit Giant. Yeah, there we go, Terry. Anyways, we hasn't played as much, but we have had the joy of becoming better friends through his marriage with his wife, his lovely wife Lisa. Where you? Come on, raise your hand. There you are. Had a lot of fun doing some very different things off the field. Great group, and I look forward to whether it's on the ball field or wine tasting, whatever in the future. Consider you a great friend, my man. Congratulations.
Right here, 'cause we're gonna get pictures of three of you when he's done.
Thanks everybody for coming out, and I look out and I see friends, foes, and the such, and I wouldn't be here standing in front of you without all of you guys, so I appreciate you coming out. First of all, my first thank you is to my wife Lisa. She's my #1 groupie. She's my #1 fan. I would still be here without her, but I wouldn't be who I am without her right now. One thing, though, I have to say to Lisa is that she always pisses me off because, especially here, because all the people who I've forged friendships with over the years, she's took my friends away. I come to games and she's with me. They talk to her. They don't talk to me anymore. But I can live with that. So, Lisa, love you very much. Thank you. You're my #1. Again, thank you, Bobby and Dave. Bobby was my advocate. He nominated me. He kept my name in their hearts and minds, and persuaded them to give me the opportunity to stand here. So thank you, Bobby. Dave, again, without you, I wouldn't be a better teammate and a better player. So thank you again, and I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame committee for actually putting me in. So thank you very much. And also one last thing on this note that I'd like to say congratulations to my fellow 2023 Hall of Famers. We've all deserved it. We've all put in the time. We've all had the fun. And again, congratulations. Real quick, a couple of things. When I first started in '91, as they know that I played for the Orioles, like to throw out a couple of names for you: Steve Ronaldon, Don Rogers, Scott Stevens, Jeff Mom, Ross, who's here, McGahee, who's here, Nelson Randolph, Dennis Allen, Gary Stoneberg is also out here. I didn't realize until later on we were a good team. We were a really good team. I just didn't know it then. What finally gave me the idea that how good we were is that we all are familiar with the Arizona format. You go down there and you play other teams. We were a team in one league playing against other leagues, all-star teams, and we would beat them. We never won the championship, at least when I was there, but we would get to at least the semis or whatever. And if you think about it, a team playing other leagues, all-stars, and beating them and getting to the playoffs was a pretty good accomplishment. So hats off to all the people that I named off and the ones I've kind of forgotten over the years. But again, we were a pretty good team. A couple of things I remember about that is my first year or second year in Phoenix, playing shortstop. Ross was out in right field. Somebody hit a base hit to him, and Ross was trying to throw somebody out, and his arm did a little Dave Dravecki, for all you guys who remember that. Basically snapped his arm. And that was kind of a gruesome thing. Well, he was a tough guy about it. He didn't yell too much. He just held his arm. I remember that they nominated me for whatever reason to accompany him back to Sacramento. I'm sitting there in the airplane with him with his cast on, and everybody looking at him, and I was kind of like, well, he hurt his arm. Another thing about the Orioles was our battles with the Giants and Jim Barr. And if for all you guys who didn't know, Jim Barr he was the actual pitcher for the San Francisco Giants in the mid 80s or mid 70s. And the umpires used to give him a lot of leeway, and I was always pissed. But more on Jim in a second here. Towards the end of the 90s, some of the players they got a little older, went to the older leagues. I was still a little young, so somehow or another, I got roped into running the team. Worst 2 years of my life. Running a team, Bobby knows, running a team is tough, and I learned my lesson. I'll never run a team again because it was tough keeping track of it's like herding cats, especially when it came to paying money. So when I turned 40, went to the Giants, and as Dave said, he kind of stole my thunder playing for Javier Campos, the most hated man in baseball. And again, his own teammates called him that. That's how bad he was. But again, he may be a better player up to a point, but after a while you get tired of Javier. That's another story. One of my favorite things about playing for the Giants back then in the early 2000s was the person who I hated the most on the baseball diamond became a teammate, Jim Barr. And I caught him a lot of times, and I realized how good of a pitcher you were and you had to be in the major leagues. I would catch him. He threw two pitches, a fastball and a slider. I never called the pitch for him. I just called where I wanted to pitch. If I called for outside, he'd throw a fastball or a slider. I wouldn't have to move my glove. And that was just one of the great treats of playing with him. And the best treat with him was after the game was over, you go in the parking lot, drink some beer, and listen to his major league stories about him getting in a fight with Robinson. Frank Robinson, thank you. Who was coach? Sorry about that. Who was coach of the Giants at the time? Him and Frank didn't get along a lot. He tells stories about them fighting and whatever like that. That was always enjoyable. I love that. Another thing was Kangaroo Court. That was always a blast. And I'm getting to you in a sec. Again, so for you guys who don't know what Kangaroo Court is that we would nominate two guys per game. They would bring the beer for in the parking lot, and they would be able to fine a player for dumb things like having his shoelaces untied or whatever like that. You get fined $1. The king of that was the person sitting right there, Terry. Raise your hand, Terry Callahan. He was the king. He would find us for the stupidest things, but we had to laugh about it and pay the fine because that's the spirit of the thing. I'd like to say shout out to Mike Baker. I played with him and the Braves in Arizona many years. Got 2 rings, which I'm very proud of. But another teammate of the Giants, Tommy Aguero, he has what? We had, Tommy, 17 rings, and I have 2. I'll always be jealous of him. He's one of my great friends. I'll be jealous of him all the time because he has 17 rings. How you do that? Yeah. So at the end, as we pointed out, I'm getting a little old. Can't run quite as well as I used to, but I'm still out here. I'm still making the journey, and I'll be here until I can't. People ask me, how long are you going to play? And I say, until I can't. So I appreciate this honor. I'm humbled by this honor. And again, congratulations to the fellow 2023 Hall of Famers. Thank you.
Welcome to the Hall of Fame, Steve Cornelius.